Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning back in once again for another episode of Logiks View. As you can see, we have amazing sister in Christ and warrior Carla Wagner.
Yay!
I don't got all the fancy sound effects and everything, you know what I'm saying? But thank you so much, sister, for joining us on the Logics View, and thank you for all your effort and what you're doing, taking charge out here across the beautiful state of Michigan. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Logic. We all have our ups and downs, our little hills and valleys and stuff like that, but it just seems like when we kind of get to a point where we say, why am I doing this? And I'm tired and I want to get back to my regular life and my family and my business and stuff. And then God gives us a little boost in the arm, not a vaccination, just a little shot of energy, right? And away we go again. And it's hard because you sometimes you think about, do we just give up? And then you go, no, because he just opened another door. He just opened another window. He just put another person in front of you, right? That brings it all back and says, this is why you're doing it. This is why you're doing it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I feel the same way. It's like we was created for this time, and whether we like it or not, we warriors for our country, for our Lord, and for right
Yeah.
what's right. So
Yeah.
yeah, we called. We can't stop. So um I wanted to bring you on. I know recently we just had a couple days ago the Board of State Canvassers meeting, and a lot of people might not be familiar with what's going on in the process and where we at. So, if you wanted to give like an update on what the Board of State Canvassers meetings consist of, and also how this one went, and I'll ask you questions about it as we continue to go. Uh-oh. Hello, you still there, sister? I blame it. We live right now with Sister Carla Wagner. I think she might have froze up. Let me see if I can. Hello, she might have froze up on me. We're gonna see if we can get her back. But the Board of State Canvassers meeting just happened on the second, as you can see. And let me see if Sister Carla's back on there. No, I'm gonna have to send her another invite. But the Board of State Canvassers meet, and I watched the footage. I'm gonna show some of it, and we're gonna get Carla back on here and ask her. The petition, they were dared to draft 100-word petition, and it's like a peer review editing process where they have to make sure it fits within the guidelines of the state, and as you only got 100 words to say everything you're trying to say, and it's got to be correct. So Sister Carla Wagner been going through this process back and forth. It's a long, grueling process, and she been doing what it takes. And the petition language passed at this meeting, and I'm gonna play a little bit of this video so y'all can see, and I'm gonna try to get Carla back on behind the scenes. But this guy right here is an attorney, Steve Lytle, on our team, but he's forced to be part of this process. Him giving his input as part of this process, and I watched. This is a 3-hour video. I watched a lot of it, 2 hours of it, and I knew right off the get go he wasn't on our team. So I'm gonna let y'all hear this. I'm gonna try to get Carla back on. Please bear with me, and thank y'all for tuning in to Logics View.
language that protects bondholders and the credit ratings of local units of government in the existing constitution that is either flat out deleted or altered or abrogated. And what does alter or abrogate mean according to the Michigan Supreme Court? It means to amend so that you change the way in which a provision operates, or to abrogate, which in plain language means to render it completely ineffective. And so we're abolishing all these protections for bondholders in this proposal, and that's not reflected in the summary. I'd be advised of that, because we know that in 1978 with the Headley Amendment, there's language in there to reassure folks about the consequence.
Is it?
Now, this guy, oh, it's some parts I had, some timestamps I had wrote down that I wanted to play for y'all, but I don't have them right now. Today has been a busy day. My son is sick, and then I got to have my grandkids as well for a few hours. But he talking about it like the Headley Act and through previous legislation decades ago, the people decided that we wanted to be taxed and we wanted our property to be put up for the collateral. And he like, the people spoke on this. They want, like, bro, we don't want this. We don't want this. And if the people 20, 30 years ago wanted it, we need to reevaluate it and go over it again, because this is not what we want. This is definitely not what we want. So, I'm a little off right now with Sister Carla dropping out of the live stream. I wanted to discuss a lot of this with her. So I'm gonna try to send another link. Oh, there we go, baby.
You know what? I don't know what happened. We were talking about the demons of darkness and whatever else, and look at what they just like took away our.
I'm telling you.
We just praised God. You just said a prayer, and all of a sudden, they shut us down. I'm glad we're back.
That's the war.
I am not a computer. I am not techie. And you know what? I don't think I did anything, but all of a sudden you were gone.
I know. It froze up and I could still see your face. And then I'm like, uh-oh, something happened.
Oh, yeah. Well, I couldn't see anything. It just went black. It just went black altogether. And then I tried to like keep rebooting it and it wouldn't let me reboot. So anyway, sorry about that. I'm very, very sorry. Let's go.
Okay, no problem. My viewers already know I'm learning a lot. I'm not super techie either, but I've been learning slowly, and they've been bearing with me, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I played a little bit of your friend Steve Lytle there.
little Lytle, little Lidl, little whatever his name is. Yeah, I shouldn't be rude. That's rude.
Yeah, we try to be, but these people, we know they're scumbags. But anyway, we won't say that today.
No. You watched it, Logic. You. I think you said you stayed up until the wee hours of the morn trying to make sense of what they were doing, right?
Yeah, but I knew off rip, like as soon as I heard him speak 5 minutes in, or whatever he started speaking, I could determine that he wasn't on our team.
Well, and let me just give you a little bit of background, right? Because it's very strange. I think that whole process is very strange, because you go there, and so what we did last time and then this time, we have our petition, and we write a summary that we think describes our petition pretty well in 100 words. You only have 100 words. Numbers don't count. You have 100 words. You submit that with the petition and you ask them to approve it. Okay? Give us your approval. Stamp of approval from the board. So that's Jonathan Brader, 2 Republicans, and 2 Democrats. So Jonathan Brader is the director, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. They have to vote on just the 100-word summary. And they're supposed to look at it and say, does this adequately, in layman's language, easy for anyone to understand, does this encapsulate what the petition is all about, right?
Right.
So, again, I go into that room where the Board of Canvassers are, It's live streamed. It's me. A couple other people are there for some other different issues, whatever. And there's these two Democrat attorneys, Mark Brewer and Steve Lytle. And I swear they live in that room. I think they live there. I think if we looked behind the chairs or the benches or whatever, there's probably sleeping bags and food bags, whatever. But, and I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful, but the thing is it's my petition. We've been working on this for a long time. Our group of people, our little team and our attorney and whatever else, we know this kind of stuff pretty good, right? And so the summary that we write, we think is a pretty good reflection of what we want to try to say.
Yeah.
The board, the board doesn't know anything more about property taxes than the average person. And yet they have to take a very complex issue and write a 100-word summary.
Right.
Last time it took them 8 months.
Oh my Lord.
Right? Right one. This time I went there on Monday, never expecting them to approve it. I thought, well, here we go again, right? I'm going to go early because here we go again. I went in there with the 100-word summary that Jonathan Brader had written and sent out to everyone, even inviting the public to make comments on it. You know, make comments on this 100-word summary and tell me if you think it's reflective of the petition, blah, 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 blah. So, and then I'm sitting there looking at the 100-word summary that he wrote. And I thought, okay, other than a few little words, I would accept that. And I said that I would accept this, right? But these other two attorneys, they get it because they say, well, we're representing this person or we're representing this person. And I don't know if those people are fictitious or not, but they say they are representing these groups or these people. And they get a chance to speak because they asked to speak. So they speak. And basically the 100-word summary that we ended up with is almost verbatim the 100-word summary that Mr. Lytle proposed. He wrote about 5 pages, typed about 5 pages worth of why what Mr. Brader wrote wasn't acceptable. And then suggested, so literally I was handed the stapled. When I walked into that room, a lady said, are you Miss Wagner? And I said, yes, I am. And she goes, well, this was given to us by Mr. Lytle to give to you when you come today. So there I go. And I'm like, oh, and I'm supposed to what? Sit down and read this now too and absorb this while I'm sitting here while they're talking about my 100-word summary. I was going to accept what Mr. Brader wrote. And then Mr. Lytle comes out with a 5-page book report on the 100-word summary with a suggestion of what it should look like. And then Mr. Brewer, another Democrat attorney who seems to be very chummy with Madam Chair, right? So he gets up and he says his piece, this, that, whatever else. And I get a chance to interject a couple of little things, but I know that every time I say what I do want, they're going to do the opposite. If I say, I think you should put this in there because it's more reflective of the petition, they're going to do the opposite of what I want. So it's better off if I just don't say a whole lot. What I
and that's what I was talking about. How they not on our side,
no,
but
they're not on our side.
But they critiquing it with their critique and their I mean, it's constructive criticism. Regardless, it's helping you to get in line with what they strict guidelines or whatever.
But what they're trying to do is make that 100-word summary so unappealing to the average person that when we show them the petition, if they're going to read the 100-word summary, they're going to go, why would I sign this? Right? Because they're not doing it with no bias. They're supposed to. It's supposed to be an unbiased summary of the petition, unbiased. But they're Democrats, and they never wanted this petition to see the light of day. Those 4 people up there, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, you need to have a 3-to-1 vote. You need to either have a unanimous or at least 3 people. So that means you have to have 2 Democrats and then 1 Republican, or 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat to approve, right? Well, they're more concerned. They go, this will be disastrous. If you eliminate property tax, the world is going to come to an end. Michigan's going to fall off into the lake. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
How are we going to survive? And you know what? And I'm like, you folks are misinformed and uninformed, just like the average property taxpayer that I'm trying to talk to. And we're trying to educate about where your property taxes go and how they're being spent, right? Because the penalty for not paying them is so severe. They must be really important, right, to the state and to our survival. And that is not the
Mhm.
case. That is not the case. And people need
Yeah.
to understand that. But it can take your home and it can take your property if you don't pay that bill. And people are getting to the point where they can't afford to pay that bill. So what are they supposed to do, Logic? What do you do when you can't afford to buy? You know what? If I can't afford to buy something, I don't buy it. But
Mhm.
if I can't afford to pay my property taxes, they're going to come take my property. And
Yeah, and that's
every day, all day long.
I found a couple timestamps that I had marked down as I was continuing to examine this footage, and Steve Lytle talks about the Headley Act, and then the other guy talks about like they more concerned about the bond protection and the bond holders than they
Then
are
people's
the
houses.
yeah than us and our livelihoods. And
They, You're
go ahead.
absolutely right. The Madam Chair, she was,
Yeah,
this
Gerowitz.
is that. Yes, Madam Gerwitz. This is, oh, you know what? This will be devastating to zoos and museums. And I said, and then it's like, but how devastating is it to a homeowner? How devastating is it to a family that loses their home? And what are they going to do? Live out of a car? Because
Exactly.
Logic, here's the thing. By the time you've lost your house, by the time they've come and removed you from your house, you have gone through all of your savings, right?
Oh.
You have maxed your credit cards out. You have asked every family member, every friend, you've asked your church, you've asked anybody you could ask to borrow a little bit of money to help save your house.
Hmm.
And so when they take it, you lose everything. Your credit, you basically are forced into bankruptcy. So when you go into a bankruptcy, what happens? That goes on your credit record. The foreclosure goes on your credit record. How do
Hmm.
you ever get to buy something again? You know what?
Hmm.
How is a landlord going to rent you something when he knows that you haven't been able to make payments? Right? What are
And
your
this is common sense. Like it's not rocket science. Like
and
like
they're
we the
more
people.
worried. Those people on that board are more worried about non-essential services, zoos, museums, libraries. I don't think they've saved anyone, right? But
No.
why can we have money for those? But when they talk about how are you going to fund the fire department? Well, I'm going to fund the fire department with the Zeus money. That's what I would say. I'm going to fire the police. I'm going to fund the police department with the museum's money. Doesn't that make sense? Essential, non-essential. Whitmer was very good. Whitmer was very good at picking essential and non-essential, wasn't she, during COVID? You're not
Very
an
good point.
essential service, so you need to shut down. You're an essential service, so you can stay open.
Yeah. 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 That's why I said the other day, I'm like, man, we need a Michigan DOGE, a Department of Government Efficiency here in Michigan
Yes, we do.
to get rid of all these non-essential agencies and positions.
I want to put this into perspective for your listeners, Logic. In 2019, right before COVID, the Michigan state budget, we were spending $58.5 billion. 58.5. What is it today, 5 years later, 2024? We're over 80 billion. How did we go from 58 billion to 80 billion in what, five
Wow.
years? since
Wow.
since Miss Whitmer has been our governor, she's basically bumped our budget up $5 billion a year. Think about that. Has your life gotten better? Has your life gotten any better? With $5 billion, every single person in Michigan, their life should have been improved with $5 billion extra dollars a year being
Right.
spent. We
Right.
only got 10 million people. Do the math. What's 5 billion divided by 10 million?
A lot. A
I didn't.
lot
I don't
per
think I had
person.
that money spent on me.
Hmm.
I, right? I don't
What'd you
think that
say?
money was spent. I don't think that money
Oh,
was spent
right.
on me. My
No.
life has gotten worse. Right? Have most people's lives, groceries, gas, utilities, insurance, property tax, you name it, it's all gone up. It's
Yeah.
gotten more expensive, not less.
And everybody is definitely feeling it, man. People are beyond their limits, and I wanted to play a couple clips, but I wanted to point out too, because I just reported on a story a day or two ago. It was a tenant in Oakland County or somewhere on that side of the state. A tenant felt couldn't pay their rent no more, so the bailiff was trying to evict this person, and they was having a hard time. The person was he ain't had nowhere to go. He aggressive. He like no. So the bailiff brought two cops with him to evict this person, and they said he ended up in the article. It said the person lunged at the bailiff with a box cutter, and the bailiff shot him. They end up killing this person in his home in the process of evicting him. And it's like, is this what it's going to be like? Is this what it's like as people are evicted from their actual homes? I think that might have been a renter, but the police, they bring the police to try to kick you out. And if if you don't want to go, I mean, if you don't got nowhere to go, I mean, I'm not saying get aggressive with them at all, but
But think about that logic. That man was a renter, right? Okay, so he was a renter. He didn't even own the property. How would you feel if you were the property owner
oh,
and you
your
were
whole
going to
life.
lose and you were going to lose 15 or 20 years of equity of mortgage payments that you paid on that house, plus all the tax payments, plus all the blood, sweat, and tears you put into mowing the lawn and snow
Yeah.
plowing, re-roofing and painting
Memories.
and taking care of it, and the memories of growing, of raising your family there. And then somebody comes up and says, you know what, you didn't pay your property tax bill, you're out of here, we're taking
Yeah.
your house.
Yeah, we sent you warnings. We sent you letters. You got to go. Like what? Hold on, what? And then I think to correct the story earlier, I think they deployed. They said they deployed tasers, but they didn't take effect. So the bailiff shot him. But it wasn't body cam footage included. Normally, lately, they always include that to cover their bases. But this article was just he she say. So I'm gonna be
Yeah,
looking to see if the body cam footage come out because who's to know what happened in there if we can't
right,
see the footage?
right. I
But
don't know if bailiffs wear body cams or not. I don't really know that, but the police might have. It's logic. It's people are always, when we talk about eliminating property tax, and you saw it in that board of canvassers, they're like, but how are you going to replace the money? Like, if you don't pay property tax, the state is going to collect less money. And I'm like, but that's the point. We have to get the government to stop spending our money foolishly on non-essential services. We have to pay essential services first, right? And then let the people keep some of their own damn money in their pockets. Why the government, the more we send them, the more they spend. So, and who needs your money? The townships, the counties, the state. Who assesses your house? The townships, the counties, the state. Who tells you what your house is going to be valued at, and who tells you how much tax you're going to pay? The very entities that need your money. It's kind of a conflict of interest, I think. So,
these,
so what the state collects, see that little dark green box that says state education, 2.3
yeah,
billion? I don't know. This is from 2021. Okay. So that's now up to about 2.7. But that tiny little dark green, that's state education tax. On your property tax bill, it will show up as SET, state education tax. That's what the state collects from property taxes, that dark green piece of the pie. Where does that money go? Logic. It all goes straight into the public school aid fund. How big is the public school aid fund? About 20 some billion dollars. So if the school aid fund is 20 billion and property taxes at the state level is only 2.7 of that, where does the rest of the 17 billion come from for schools? Right?
That's a good question, and that's
I
why I
know,
brought this.
and I can tell you, comes from all the other taxes we pay.
Exactly.
State income tax, corporate business tax, use tax, sales tax, alcohol, marijuana, tobacco tax, lottery, real estate transfer tax. All those other taxes we pay still will fund the public schools. Public schools attendance has dropped by more than 10%. So if the public school bucket is 20 some billion dollars and you drop that bucket by the 10% that we're losing in attendance, you're going to take away about 2 billion or 2.1 billion dollars. How much did I say they're making off property tax at the state level? That graph shows 2.3. It's actually about 2.7 today. Isn't that about 10%? Where'd you go, Logic?
Oh, you couldn't hear me?
Whoops, I lost your voice. There you go. I couldn't hear
All
you.
right. Oh, I'm running my mouth and you can't even hear me. I was talking behind the scenes, but I basically so they lost the amount they lost because of the 10% in student attendance is the same amount we pay in
In
property
property tax
tax.
at the state level, right? SET, state education tax. It's a separate millage on your property tax bill. It's 6 mills, right? That's what they tax you at. It's 6 mills. So take the value of your house or the taxable value of your house times that 6 mills. That goes right to the state. And that shows up in that little dark green piece of the pie at the state's budget, okay? But on your property tax bill, what school district are you in? What school district are you in, Logic?
I'm in West Michigan. I'm not sure what
Well, like
district is.
Muskegon or something like that, or I'm not sure where you live. Okay, so
North of Muskegon, yep.
Okay, so I'm in the Rockford School District. So I have 4 Rockford school millages on my property tax bill because that's the local school that I support. I support state education tax, right? I pay a state education tax. That money goes into that green slice of the pie. On the local level, on my property tax bill, I support Rockford Public Schools, okay? They have 4 millages on my property tax bill. Those dollars, those 4 millages do not educate the kids. It's not for teacher salary, it's not for admin, and it's not for curriculum. It's for football fields and playground equipment. It's for painting the building or replacing a window, or it's for past debt, and it's for some operating expenses. So Rockford Public Schools gets money from the public school aid bucket. The public school aid bucket, which I said was about $20 billion. Every school gets money from that bucket based on how many kids show up on counting day, right? We say, okay, so that big school aid bucket, $20 billion, 2.7 of that is collected from the state, goes all into that bucket, and then you fund your local schools on your property tax bill. So you fund your local school, I fund Rockford, somebody else funds Grand Rapids, somebody else funds Belding or Ionia or whatever school district you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they're asking for, like in Rockford, these silly people in Rockford, they passed a think about it. Think about this, Logic. 20-year millage. A 20-year millage. If you had a kid in elementary, if you had a kid in kindergarten, he's only going to be in those, he's only going to go to high school, right? How many years are those kids in school? But these parents are, they're approving a 20-year millage, basically for playground equipment. Rockford Public Schools is going to earn 2.5 million the first year. The first year of those 20 years, they're going to get
Wow.
2.5 million. But you know what? As our property values go up, their playground equipment bucket is going to go up as well. So you think about that. If they're going to get 2.5 million the first year, in 20 years, they could end up with $70 million or more. You know how many playgrounds we have? You know how many schools we have in Rockford that have playground equipment on them? There's either 8 or 9. 8 or 9. Do you change? Do you change out all of the playground equipment at the same time? If a slide breaks, fix it. That doesn't mean you got to change the merry-go-round out if the merry-go-round is still working fine, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
they're not going to replace the playground equipment on every single stinking school all at the same time, right? It doesn't all go bad at once. Why
Mm-mm.
would people vote for that? Why? And you know what? It increased your property taxes. You just signed on for 20 more years of a millage.
Well, and that's the importance of what you doing, raising awareness all across the state, taking a stance and fighting against it, and we all banding together, and I pray that the support continues to grow. And you know, the Bible, Hosea 4:6, it say the lack of knowledge destroys my people. And the reason the legislatures and the bureaucrats been able to get away with all this stuff is because we have lacked the knowledge that they were doing it. You know, now we watchdogs, we bulldogs now, and more every day, and we spreading, learning what's going on, and sharing the knowledge, spreading it, and you know that shining the light on these roaches, and we
Right.
gonna put an end to this crap. You know.
Well, and what I found out as well, Logic, is that unfortunately, we're voting on people and we're electing people into our legislation, into Lansing, that don't know enough about this. They look at a bill, they read a bill, and they go, "Hey, that sounds pretty good. You know, we're going to do this. We're going to give this group of money, this group of people money. That sounds like a good deal. Why wouldn't we want to do that? That's a warm and fuzzy. Let's give them money."
Hmm.
But the thing is who's putting the money into the bucket?
Exactly.
If you're taking money out of the bucket, every financial transaction is two-sided. You have a debit and a credit. Somebody has to put money into the bucket before you can take money out of the bucket and give it to somebody. Who's the poor sucker putting the money in the bucket? Us.
Yeah,
It's always the
because
tax.
they
It's always the
it's
tax.
always yeah, and all these strings attached with whoever is dumping money in. There's strings attached. Ain't nothing free, you know. So where's it coming from, and what are the strings? And we don't want it, you know. And even with the whole political process, the way they fund candidates that's you know, moldable and shapeable, and they promote their candidates that's gonna push their agenda without asking questions. They like naive, blind candidates who passionate but don't know what's going on. You
Well,
know.
and then they spend too much time in Lansing. We really need to go to part-time legislation
Hey
because our
man,
candidates are spending so much time in Lansing, they're just being courted by the lobbyist, and they've forgotten who put them in Lansing. It's your
oh yeah,
constituents. Get
oh
back
yeah,
in your district. Get
yeah,
back in your district and listen to the people that put you there. Stop listening to the people that are in Lansing, right? Stop listening to them. Listen to your people at home. Listen to your constituents. Ask them what they want. Not what the lobbyists want.
yeah,
Ask what your
yeah.
constituents want.
Yeah, we know it's Michigan in particular is the snakes den, the viper's den. You know, you going in there, you got to be have your spiritual armor on and be prepared to to for that environment, that atmosphere. It's not something to take lightly. And I talked with other legislators who told me, you know, I went in there with the hopes of going in there and exposing stuff and making change. And, you know, if you're not careful, you get sucked into it without even knowing it. And,
Right. Or you just get the door slammed in your face and they don't allow you to have committees or do anything like that. They
yeah,
don't want you to
exactly.
make decisions. You know, they take your staff away. They do all kinds of, and that's your own side.
Yeah,
Your own side is
yeah,
doing it to you. Oh,
yeah,
we're just going to take your desk off the floor so you can't do
yeah.
anything.
You try to expose some corruption, you become the target. You the bad guy. You ain't playing by the rules, you know.
Yeah.
And we need people who are willing to expose it. And we got a few here in Michigan, and we need more. Uh, I did want to
Logic, I
point out.
think, okay, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
Okay,
you go
so
ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when we talk about elimination of property taxes, people, of course, are like, what about police? What about fire? What about this? What about there? There are, there's a plan. It can all be done, right? It can all be done. Number one, cut
Yeah,
government spending. Cut 10% across the board. You just cut $8.3 billion off our budget, right? And then if some of those services that are on our property tax bill, if we start paying them by consumption, like if you want to go to the zoo, pay to go to the zoo, but take it off our property tax. We shouldn't be paying.
exactly.
Property owners shouldn't be paying. If they don't go, they shouldn't be paying. If they want to go,
Exactly.
then pay at the gate, right? Okay. So
Right.
there's a lot of the services on our property taxes that if we paid them by consumption, we don't have to worry about replacing that revenue because people will replace the revenue through admission. So we don't have to find it in the budget. We don't have to cut more money out of the budget to pay for transit, zoos, museums, libraries, because people are going to pay for that themselves. Because if they're not paying property tax anymore, they can afford a library card, right? Right?
Yep.
Does that make sense? Okay. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff on our property tax bills that we shouldn't have to replace. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. What's the number going to be? That what's the shortfall? Because what are the savings? If we get rid of property taxes, do we need assessors anymore? Do we need people sitting in Lansing looking to make sure that we filed our property tax credit correctly on our state income tax return? Do we need the township clerks to send out property tax bills twice a year with the postage and the paper and the envelopes and the time and the effort of doing that? Think of what the
Hmm.
savings would be if there's no property tax, right? We get rid of some people or hours or time or money just by the savings of it. And then what's the impact of no property tax?
Hmm.
Every business right now, Governor Whitmer is paying business. It's like she has to bribe them to come to Michigan to do business, right? I'm going to pay you $1 billion. And then when you
Hmm.
go here, we're going to say, no property tax for you. You don't have to pay it, right? We have to
Hmm.
literally beg and bribe people to come and do business in Michigan. Why? Because it's so expensive to do business here. So we're losing businesses and we're losing people, which means we're also losing revenue. If there was no, Governor Whitmer knows this. She knows that elimination of property tax will open the doors and people will come, businesses will come to Michigan to set up business because there's no property tax. And when people come to Michigan, I mean, when businesses come back to Michigan, people will come to Michigan because there's jobs and there's no property tax. So, what is the benefit of that? Corporate business tax bucket revenue goes up. State income tax revenue goes up. Sales tax revenue goes up. We have more people buying alcohol, marijuana, and tobacco. Revenue goes up. More people buying real estate transfer goes up. More people buying lottery tickets. All those buckets go up, right? And get more
Hmm.
money in them and far outweigh that vicious little property tax bucket.
Now I like how you had alcohol, marijuana, and tobacco, taxes. I feel like you should include gambling on there as well, because
Yeah,
gambling brought in 1.9 billion, way more than the other three. I
yeah.
don't know if you've explored that or not.
You know what? The reason why we included alcohol, marijuana, and tax is because we deal with those addictions at the local level. It's
Oh yeah,
it's
I know a
not
lot of
it's
gamblers.
yeah, yes. But and you know what? Gambling is an addiction, but it hurts people more than it hurts. If you're out driving drunk on the road, you could kill somebody else, right? If you're driving high on the road, you could, right? So I'm looking at alcohol, tobacco, not so much. But what we said was those addictions are dealt with at the local level because it's the police officer that you and I pay that has to stop the drunk driver on the road. He's going to get lodged in our county jail, our local county jail, and he's going to need a public defender, right? Those are all local expenses that need to be paid, which is why we said then you need to send some of that tax revenue down here to the local townships and counties to help pay for those expenses so it doesn't fall onto the shoulders of the taxpayers.
Right, right, right.
That's
And
that's
one thing, I include gambling because I know a lot of gamblers, but I play poker. I've been playing poker for half my life. I love to play poker, and it's a lot of legislation. The state came and regulated and took over the poker industry, but you have these charity rooms they call poker charity rooms now, and it's local. If you can get a permit or a license from the state, you can have poker games. The nearest one to where I'm at is about 45 minutes south. I don't play hardly at all anymore because I'm so invested in all this and my kids, grandkids, and everything. But it's something I do love because I'm good at it. But I bring it up because the charity rooms, they have local people from the schools and people from the communities earn a big percentage of the profits made from these charity rooms.
mm,
And I don't know if that money is specifically going to the schools, but I know it helps a lot of school districts.
isn't that
These
funny? I just think
Yeah,
that's
we
ironic. I think that's ironic that you would fund a school with gambling dollars.
Yeah, but it's even it's like they already getting all this
Yeah,
money, and I
yeah,
mean a lot of poker players they don't mind that the money is going to help the school district, but
sure.
we don't know we already being raped, and they taking all type of money and misallocating it. But here we are on the local levels pumping even more money into the school system, and we happily doing it. But if the money that's already being taken from us was allocated properly, the schools and everything would be in a lot better shape.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? If we keep sending Lansing money, they're going to keep spending it. They'll
Yeah.
never shrink. They'll never change their spending habits. They'll never cut the budget. The budget will never ever go back down. It will just keep increasing every year. It's basically they are collateralizing our property to afford their spending. Our government is living beyond our means, right?
Yep. I want to play this clip real quick. I know we got to go soon, but
Mhm.
you brought that point up, and Steve Lytle talks about stuff in a way that is it's like psychological deception. The way they speak is trying to trick you into supporting something that's not good for you. That's how these people operate, and they've mastered the art, but people waking up more and more. Let me see what this is. I think this is about the Headley Act.
Property taxes. In the 1963 Constitution, in Article 9, Section 6, they created an exception to avoid the exact circumstance you raise. An exception to levy taxes necessary, notwithstanding these new limits on property taxes, to assure that obligations of local units of government to repay their bonds were satisfied. Notwithstanding the limits, taxes could be levied to meet those contractual obligations. In 1978, when voters adopted the Hentley Amendment, same thing. They went so far as to say, notwithstanding all of these restrictions on the levy of taxes and requirements for voter approval that previously didn't exist, we are going to guarantee in the Constitution the ability of states or local units to levy taxes to repay those obligations.
You know what, Logic, what I see there, why do they do it with property tax? Why do they do
Exactly.
it? It says taxes. They can levy a tax. Okay, do you know what just happened in Grand Rapids? What happened in Grand Rapids? They came out with these big, pretty, shiny little postcards that said, "Hey, Grand Rapids, we want to build an amphitheater on the Grand River. And you know what? You're not going to have to pay. No taxpayer dollars are going to be involved. You're not going to pay for it. It's going to be a new excise tax on every hotel in Kent County. So only visitors to Kent County will build that amphitheater from excise dollars. We're going to create a new excise tax, and we're going to charge visitors into Kent County that stay at those hotels in Kent County, and they're the ones that are going to pay for that $184 million amphitheater." And they said, no tax dollars. This is the amphitheater that you will get to enjoy, you will get to work at. You'll have no investment. You're not going to pay for it. And you know what? It was less than a week after we voted, people passed that stupid millage. And when they did it, guess what? Within a week, that project got $252 million of our tax dollars from the state injected into that project. 252 million tax dollars when they said, "Hey, you're not going to pay for it. You're not going to." Okay, so Kent County wasn't going to add it on as a millage to pay for the new amphitheater, but you know what? That $252 million that the state gave them, that was some of our money, wasn't it? That was money that we
Mhm.
sent to the state in the form of income tax, property tax, sales tax, marijuana, whatever we pay. Those were tax dollars. The government has no money of its own. The government lives off our tax dollars.
Mhm.
When they're giving this money out left and right, it's our money they're giving out, not theirs. It is not
Now,
their money.
so help me understand this real quick, because the bonds, the loans that they, or the money that they, the credit, all this
Yep,
stuff that they base off of our wage, our money, our tax revenue.
yep.
They get loans based off we the collateral. Our tax
Our
dollars.
property is the collateral. So I had this discussion with my supervisor, my township supervisor. He said, "You know what, Carla? Our township enjoys a triple A bond rating." Do you know what that means? I said, "Yeah, because I used to sell stocks and bonds, right? I used to work at a bank. I
Mm,
had my securities license."
mhm.
Carla, our township enjoys a triple A bond rating. And I thought, well, that's nice. That's really nice that, you know what, you collect 98%, probably 95 to 98% of the property tax dollars that they are allowed to collect, they collect. So because our township is so collectible, that gives them a better bond rating, which means that they will get a lower interest when they need to borrow money. And I said, well, that's nice. That's really nice because you know what? There's a single mom over there that had to send her kid back to school. And she had to put his school clothes on a Kohl's credit card that's charging 30.74% interest. But
Yeah.
I'm glad the township has a AAA bond rating because they're using our collateral, they're using our property to secure that AAA bond rating.
Mhm. Mm,
And
mm, mm.
so what Mr. Lytle was talking about there, bonds, right? There's bonds out there. This is why it's so important that we have to vote no on every millage, on every bond proposal that comes up until we eliminate property tax. Because if you vote and pass a 10-year bond proposal, and in 2 years we eliminate property tax, guess what? There's still 8 more years of that bond that needs to be paid.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
they don't have to pay for it with property tax, but they have to pay for it somehow. So
Yeah.
they might have to say, what was that bond for? Was that bond to create a new bridge? Now we're going to have to add an additional tax just to pay for that bridge, right? But no more property tax. No one's going to lose their home, but we're going to have to raise money to satisfy that bond. That's why it
And
is.
I,
You know what? Back in the day, Logic, back in the day, because my great uncle used to be the supervisor of Georgetown Township in Ottawa County. We used to sell muni bonds, municipal bonds. If a township had to put in a sewer line from a sewer, like a new sewer line from that street to that street, and it was going to cost whatever, $100,000, they would say, we're going to sell municipal bonds to anyone that wants to invest. It's called a muni bond. It's a municipal bond. It's to help the municipals fund infrastructure. Why don't they do that anymore? You might
hmm.
have people in the community that will say, you know what? I'll put in $5,000 because I'm going to get interest back. In 10 years, they're going to pay me my money back plus interest, right?
Mm.
That's a muni bond. It's a municipal bond. Why don't they do that anymore? Instead, what do? They just put it on the shoulders of the taxpayers, property
Mm.
owners. Let's just tax the crap out of them. The cash cow has dried up, Logic.
Oh
The
yeah.
taxpayer is the cash cow, and it has dried up. It's drying up, and people are mad. People are upset. They just got another property tax bill, and they're sick of it. They're sick of it.
And that's, unfortunately, the communists and the deep state globalists and the evil kingdom of darkness we up against, that's their goal, is to destroy the middle class, destroy America, steal our property, and do all this stuff. You already got Mike Duggan over there, the new candidate for governor. He utilizing eminent domain to steal property all over Detroit so they can push this solar panel agenda. That's something I'm gonna be digging into more. But they labeling all this property as blight and devastated, and that allows the government to use
They're
eminent
kicking all of the
domain.
native, all of the homeowners, all of the minority and native low income Detroiters are being pushed out.
Yeah,
Of,
and they saying we'll give you fair market value for your property, take it or leave it. You
yeah,
got to take, if they. But let me play this one last clip, and then we
okay,
approaching an hour. We'll wrap it up soon. But
okay.
the language the way they was talking about these bonds just had me sick to my stomach, because they more worried about the bond holders. Let me play this
Oh
real
yeah, then
quick.
they are homeowners.
Yeah,
Plain language means to render it completely ineffective. And so we're abolishing all these protections for bondholders in this proposal, and that's not reflected in the summary. I think voters should be advised of that, because we know that in 1978 with the Headley Amendment, there's language in there to reassure folks about the consequences.
Is it so again?
I know you just hate hearing his voice.
Create little You know what? I try to be as respectful as I can. But you know what? When you are worried about everybody but the taxpayer that's paying your wage, I'm sure at somewhere down the line he gets his pay from us, right? He I think he works for the state. So we're
Yeah.
probably paying him, we're probably paying his salary. I'm not sure. I don't know for sure.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm sitting there going, you know what? When you are more concerned about who's receiving our money than our ability to pay that money, that's pretty sad. And when they talk about
Mm-hmm.
how disastrous the elimination of property tax is going to be, it's like, how disastrous is it when someone loses their home? Logic, how much less crime, addiction, depression, suicide, mental illness, homelessness would there be if no one ever had to worry again about losing their family home? How do you educate kids when they're living out of a car or on
Yeah.
the street?
Yeah.
Tell me that. You know what? When people say, Carla, you don't have a plan, I'm like, well, what's your plan? What's your plan
Right.
for taking care of all of these homeless people? What's your plan when you kick all of these people out of their homes? What's your plan?
Oh
Right?
yeah.
They don't have
Oh
one
yeah.
either.
Oh yeah. I think you on to something great, and I'm gonna continue to support it. The proposal language did pass. We didn't get to mention that yet, but
It did pass. It did pass. It's not pretty, but it passed.
yeah,
It
it
will
didn't
make it more it will make it very difficult for them to attack it once we get our signatures. That's
exactly,
going to be something that
exactly.
they're, because they pretty much wrote it because those two attorneys pretty much wrote it and the board approved it. It does make it much more difficult for them to attack it after the
Yeah,
fact.
yeah,
Same thing with our form. They approved the form of our petition as well. So, so the fact that they have approved the summary and the form gives us a little bit of breathing
yeah.
space,
I
right?
think it's
Now
good because
they're still gonna scrub our signatures really hard, and they're
yeah,
probably still going to sue us because they just don't like the thought of not having that control over us
oh
and our
yeah,
lives.
that's that cash cow. I mean, you can't say no to that
It's
tax,
a,
and
it's a, it's a, to them, it's a surety, right? It's, you know what? Income tax is not a sure thing. Income tax revenue, it goes up and down, right? You lay off a whole bunch of people, your state revenue goes down, right? You lose a bunch of businesses, state revenue
yeah,
goes down. Bunch
yeah,
of pieces, people come back into Michigan, state revenue goes up. Property tax is a sure thing. And you know what? They know that people are going to do everything within their power to pay that frickin' bill.
you got no choice.
You have no choice because you will lose your home if you don't. And so that is a sure bet for them. So there's people out there that say, Carla, we think you should segment it. You should just only go after homeowners' property taxes right now and then go back and remove it off farms and then businesses later. And I'm like, no, because as long as that mechanism of taxing people or businesses is out there, they're going to use it. They're going to abuse it.
Yeah,
They're going to abuse it like they have
yeah.
been. They're going to continue to abuse it and we'll never get out from under it. We have to do a clean sweep and get rid of all of it at one time.
I agree. I agree. And that's a saying, the injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And if we allow them to be robbed of their property tax, we all being robbed still essentially. And we making big changes in that.
We're trying. We certainly are trying.
It's a lot of work to undo. And it's like even with a person, I watched a video yesterday. This dude built a whole house out of old pallets.
Yes,
Beautiful, nice house. But you can't even buy a little piece of property and build your own house and be left alone because they come in to tax you for the property. And if you don't pay it, they're going to take your pallet house,
yes, yep,
take everything.
yep, exactly.
Well, that
So our
wraps it up.
website, can I mention what our website is?
Oh, yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. I should have gave you that
AX,
opportunity.
AXMITAX.org, axmytax.org. We need circulators and we need donations.
Oh, yeah. Let me
Keep them coming. We definitely, you know what? This is a huge undertaking to get the number of signatures that we need to get our word spread out across the whole entire state. Everyone in every corner of Michigan should be able to use their vote, their voice and their vote to get this done and force the government at every level, local, township, county, state, to reassess their budget, to cut their budget, to
Yeah,
tighten it up, to
yeah.
reprioritize their spending, and make it a heck of a lot easier for those of us that, are struggling. And even if we
Definitely.
weren't struggling, it's just an unfair tax. It's an unfair tax.
Yeah, you got the Ask My Tax Facebook page. I think over 10,000 members now, growing steadily. And I seen you put a post out a week or so ago saying that anybody who has the time or the desire to be a part of this, we need volunteers, all hands on deck. So I'm gonna
Yep.
continue
Yep.
to say that as well. And I made a post about how we need the Michigan Doge, but we the people, we can demand government efficiency. That's what you're doing with, we demand it. We getting rid of the non-essential. We forcing them, and we doing our
People,
job. We the people.
you know what, Logic? Some of these smaller townships around here, their budget might be 4 or 5 pages long, right? It's something that a layman, a regular Joe could go and pick that budget up, print it offline, look at it,
Yep.
go to your township and start asking questions.
Okay.
Where's this money
That's a,
come from? Where does that money go?
uh,
That's what they need to do. All politics are local, right? And then you can
yep.
do it again at the county level with the county
Well,
commission
it's up
board.
to
You can
us.
yeah, it is up to
It's
us. The
we
state's
gonna put out
budget,
a call to action.
yes, the state's budget is 182 pages the last time I looked, and I've printed it off to go through it, to look at it. But you know what? It takes a lot of time, and I don't have access to all the numbers that I need. It takes me a long time to look up the information that I need.
Yeah, yeah.
For the people that live in Lansing, the people that are legislators that work in Lansing, they have that stuff at their fingertips. They
Oh
can
yeah.
they can research it and look it up, or they can have their admin person look it up for them, and they get paid to do it, right? I have to work my other jobs. I don't get paid to do this, what we're doing, but it has to be done.
Yeah, same
Michigan
here.
has the potential to be a wealthy state, and
Heck
instead we
yeah.
are a welfare state. We are a
Yep.
welfare state, and we have
Yep.
everything we need to be a wealthy state.
And it's because of the deep state is so embedded here in Michigan. These corrupt politicians, they've been having their way for far too long. And like you say, it start on a local level. So in the
Yep.
townships and counties, but even lower townships, would the board of commissioners be people you would want to be in regular contact with as far as getting budget information from a
Yep, definitely get in touch with you. Go to the Board of Commissioners meetings, watch them, listen to them, see what they're spending money on. They're making a lot of decisions. Our county, Kent County, 650,000 people. It's got a pretty big budget, and there's a handful of people there, and I don't know if they have any accounting experience. I don't know if they have any small business experience, but they are making the decisions for the rest of us. They are spending our money. They're making financial decisions for the rest of us that we have to live with.
All right, so that's our call of action because this we can go to these township and county meetings and, like you said, print off the budget, examine it, and hold the local officials accountable and start fixing it so it can trickle up. That's how we
Yes.
make change from the local levels.
You
So
know,
I'm gonna be
Logic, there's townships that I've talked to that they don't even need property taxes to run their
mm, mm,
townships
mm.
because they currently get more money from the general revenue sharing of sales tax than what they spend. Now that's a fiscally responsible township supervisor and township
Yeah,
treasurer. Do
yeah. We
that,
need
right?
to. Yeah, if we
and
can
and
get
the
them.
needs are different. Some are rural, some are more farmers, some are more business, some have more businesses in their townships, some are bigger townships, so they have to provide more services. I get it, I get all that. That's why it's so difficult. There's 1240 townships in
In
Michigan.
Michigan.
I can't
Okay.
lay out a financial plan for every single one of them.
No.
They're going to have to be savvy enough to say, what is the real need of our township? If we are to
Yeah.
provide essential services to our township people, what does that look like? Not, it's not pickleball courts, it's not another walking trail, it's not a splash pad,
Mm,
it's not
mm, mm.
another park. Those are not essential. They're
Oof.
nice. They're nice. They're not essential and they're not worth anyone losing their property for.
Exactly. And this is, when we talk about we the people, a government that's for the people, by the people, of the people, this is what that consists of. The people being involved, doing the nitty gritty work on the county, township level. And we learning the importance of that. And they don't want us doing this stuff or knowing that this is where our power lies in us working on a local level to affect our whole state. And we start putting out calls to action about go to your township and print off the township budget or the county budget and examine it. It's a patriot in every township that can do that across Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
We got 83 counties. We need to, it's we the people. So we have to do this stuff collectively and have a huge impact. It take everybody doing their part, not just you running around the state, me and you and a small group. Now, if everybody get involved, it's easy. It's so easy
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
so
Many hands make light work. The more people that join
exactly.
in, when I think about those 10,000 people we have on our Facebook page, if 10,000 people, how many signatures would they each have to get to make a million, to make 600,000, right? Would they each have to get
Hmm.
10,000 people times 60? Does that give us our 600,000? 10,000 has four zeros in it, right? We need five zeros. Yeah, 10,000 people would each have to get what, 60 signatures? If we had 10,000 people and they got 60 signatures each, that would be the 600,000 we needed.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dale,
And
you
it's
do
just
that?
like the 10x votes concept, just like the 10x vote. Get 10
Yep,
signatures from a family or
yep,
friends. Uh,
yep, absolutely.
well, I know when I do my T-shirt stand, I'm gonna be raising. We're gonna be connected, and I'm gonna have your lid and whatever I need. I'm gonna be passing it out all summer. But that's just an example of how we can all be involved. But I
All
know
right,
we're
Logic.
over
Thank you so
time.
much. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time.
Likewise, this is great conversation. I'm sorry for running over, but a lot of important topics that we need to dig into and the people need to be aware of. So thank you for your time, and definitely won't be the last time.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you have a great night, and I hope your son gets better. I hope he feels better.
All right. Thank you, Sister Cola. Talk to you
Okay.
later.
Bye.
Bye. All right, all right. That's Sister Carla. She's amazing warrior. That was a beautiful conversation. We had a little bit of technical issues in the beginning, and y'all know y'all bear with me as I'm still getting more comfortable with all this software as well. But great conversation. A lot of valuable information discussed. I'm glad y'all hung around. Share this out, like, subscribe, follow me on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, all that. They be deleting and shadow banning different accounts and trying to, make it hard to spread the truth. So just please follow me on multiple platforms so we can stay in touch. Please share so we can lock our state of Michigan up. We can make a difference. We can turn it around. We can become an example for other states across the America. We a deep state stronghold right now. The people are waking up, rising up. We've made tremendous progress with this last election and with these last several years. We know the odds are stacked against us, but we are making noise. We making such an impact. Don't let them tell you we ain't. Hold the line. Keep God first. And I know everybody got a lot going on, especially this financial enslavement ain't nothing nice, but God will provide. God will get us through. And we going to make a change, man. These tariffs finna turn things around. The people waking up here in Michigan, we finna turn things around. This ballot proposal, this petition is finna pass. In 2 years, it's going to be on the ballot. And the people going to vote to abolish it. Think about that. 2026, man. We can get completely rid of the property taxes here in Michigan. Think about that. Trump finna, man, I ain't even gonna get into it. With these tariffs, that's gonna turn around the whole American economy. The other countries ain't gonna like it. But instead of them, like Canada, for instance, they getting $100 billion for a year from America and they ripping us off. Now with these tariffs, we ain't gonna be giving them that 100 billion. They're gonna be end up giving us 100 billion, maybe 200 billion. That's a $300 billion swing a year. Instead of dishing out one, you getting in one or two. I don't know how much we're gonna bring in, but I guarantee you we ain't gonna be dishing out that billion no more. Anyway, God bless y'all. Thank y'all. A lot of other important news I want to talk about, but today's been a doozy. Kids sick, grandkids here. Wife sick, snowed in, haven't really ate, up all night researching Kwame Kilpatrick, Mike Duggans. Lord, give me the strength. And the thing is, man, what's sad is, you got these media companies, big journalists, they get paid millions of dollars a year to lie to the people. You got big podcasts, some little podcasts, but people like me, man, we doing this from the blood, sweat, and tears, baby. We pouring it in, not receiving any financial compensation and not worried about it because our compensation is freedom for our children, our future. Our compensation is exposing the enemy's plans, destroying the enemy's plans through God's grace. And our compensation is serving the Lord, making God happy, doing what you're called to do. I do this for free. I've been doing it for free and I continue to do it for free, but Lord knows we all struggling. And he gonna get us through. And us fighting for the truth is gonna get us through. So anyway, enough of me running my mouth today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Logiks View. God bless. Peace.